Hey guys, Mark here from Rainies.com, and today we'll be doing a brand lineup for the Jaybird headphones that we've reviewed so far. Now, Jaybird is a sports-oriented brand that makes wireless in-ears mostly for running and working out. They set themselves apart with easy-to-use and above-average sounding headphones that have a customizable sound, even for their budget options. They also offer unique tips and stability fins that blocks a lot of noise, are decently comfortable compared to more traditional in-ears, and are stable enough for most physical activities. However, Jaybird does lack a little bit in variety since they only offer wireless in-ears for now. So chronologically, the lineup starts with the Jaybird X2, then the X3, then the Freedom, the Jaybird Run, Freedom 2, X4, and the Jaybird Tarah Pro, which we didn't get a chance to review yet. However, we thought it would be best and more helpful to separate them by series lineup and talk about the differences and benefits for each headset and if they're worth the upgrade. So let's start with the oldest of the X series, the Jaybird X2. Being the oldest headset of the lineup, they do not benefit from some of the fancier active features like being compatible with the Jaybird My Sound app. This means that they won't have the customizable sound profile or the community features of the later models, which makes the X2 feel like very straightforward wireless sports in-ears, kind of like some of the Anchors and Soundpeats headphones that we've tested. However, this also means that they have some design choices that we wish had been carried over to the more recent headphones of the lineup. For example, their carrying case is much sturdier than the small pouch that you get with the X3 and above. They also have a micro USB port directly on the earbud. It's not as waterproof as some of the more recent models, but definitely makes charging the headphones a lot easier since you don't have to carry the cradle or a charging clip around to be able to recharge the X2. You can use any micro USB cable like most Bluetooth headphones and don't have to purchase a new cradle from Jaybird if you misplace or lose it, which is always nice. Other than that, they have a good sound overall that packs a lot of bass, a slightly longer battery life than the other models at 9 hours, and the isolation performance is really good, but you can achieve similar levels with the others depending on the tips you select. Moving on to the direct successor, the Jaybird X3. Here, the key differences are with the design of the remote, the new charging cradle, and the app support. The X3's remote adds easier to use buttons, they're more spaced out, easier to distinguish by feel alone, and they have good feedback. The remote also has a proprietary connector that you use to connect the cradle, which in turn has a detachable micro USB cable to charge the headphones. This design change to a proprietary cable has persisted for the rest of the Jaybird models that we've tested so far, which may be a deal breaker for some, since as mentioned, if you lose the cradle, you will have to purchase another one. On the upside, it's just a cradle that doesn't have an additional battery like the charging clip from the Freedom series, which means they last long enough at 7.1 hours of battery life that you don't need to charge them as often, so it's less of a hassle. The micro USB cable is also detachable, so you can keep the cradle attached if you want to. They also benefit from the Jaybird My Sound app, which gives them a great EQ with presets, as well as community features to share your presets with other Jaybird owners if that's your thing. The X3 are also Bluetooth 4.1 headphones, unlike the X2, which are Bluetooth 2.1. So they have multi-device pairing. You can quickly switch between your phone and PC once paired. And like the X2, the rest of the X3 specs are above average for a wireless in-ear. They have good isolation, a decent sound quality. They're stable and compact enough for the gym and for commuting. But unfortunately, their case, pouch, is much worse than the X2's. As for one of the more recent releases, the Jaybird X4, they are almost identical in design to the X3 and offer a similar performance that may not be worth the upgrade, although they now have an official IPX7 rating for water and sweat resistance, so they should be a bit more durable for sports. Unfortunately, we couldn't test that thoroughly since we don't yet have a water and sweat-proof test on our current test bench. On the upside, the X4 has slightly different tip and stability fin options that some may find a bit more comfortable, although they have less tip choices overall to find the right fit. They have a better cable management clip and also benefit from the customizable sound of the Jaybird app, but unfortunately, the new charging cradle no longer has a detachable micro USB cable, so you can't leave the cradle attached to the headphones. You have to carry it around if you want to charge the headphones when on the go, which won't be ideal for everyone. If you really want the latest headset, then the X4 are a solid choice for sports, especially for the added water resistance, but the X3 are about as good for much cheaper. Next up, we have the Jaybird Run. The Run are Jaybbird's first attempt at a truly wireless design. They keep the same rugged appeal of the Jaybird design language, but do not look quite as high-end or as polished as some of the other truly wireless headphones we've tested since, like the B&O Play E8 or the Jabra Elite Active 65T. They also do not have the best control scheme since you have to choose between being able to control the volume or being able to skip and rewind tracks. Mediocre button placement also means that you have to push the earbuds against the notch of your ear, which is not the most comfortable layout. On the other hand, they are much cheaper than most of the other truly wireless headphones that we've tested. They also benefit from the awesome Jaybird EQ. They're stable enough for sports with no cables to get caught on or by anything. Unfortunately, they have a short battery life of 3.8 hours, but on the upside, they charge much faster than the other Jaybird headphones. They also have 2 additional chargers with the included case for a total of 11 to 12 hours of battery life. They're not the best truly wireless headphones that we've tested, and their case is a little bulky, but they offer a good value to performance ratio, and they're the only choice if you like Jaybird and want something truly wireless. Next up is the Freedom series, starting with the Freedom F5, which are the more budget options offered by the Jaybird lineup. They trim some of the weight and bulk of the earbuds for a sleeker, more sports-focused experience, especially with the shorter continuous playtime. They do not have an as good build quality as the more premium X series. They also have a much shorter continuous playtime at 4 hours, opting for a charging clip for an additional 4 hours, for a total of 8 hours of playback. Unfortunately, it's not the most practical since you will have to take breaks to charge the headphones or leave the bulky clip attached, which somewhat defeats the purpose of the sleeker, more compact form factor. On the upside, just for sports, it's not a big issue unless you work out for more than 4 hours at a time. They're also a bit more comfortable thanks to the smaller buds and 6 tip options and stability fins for you to find the right fit. Up next, the Freedom 2. The second iteration does not change much from the original Freedoms. Performance is about the same, sound quality, battery life, features, range, and the dreaded charging clip are basically the same. However, they do come with a new set of earbud-like tips that make them a bit more comfortable than the original Freedoms, although they have less choice overall since they only come with 4 tip options. They also have better cable management with a clip that is not removable unlike the original, but it does make the headphones a bit tidier when you wear them. As long as you don't mind the bulky charging clip, then they're a good choice, especially at the current price, but there isn't enough of a difference between the original Freedoms that warrants upgrading to the Freedom 2, so get whichever one's cheaper. And lastly, the Jaybird Tarah. They're kind of what you would get if you combine the X and Freedom series into one headset. They have the more comfortable earbud-like tips of the Freedom 2 that do not enter the ear canal as deeply, but also have less choice to find the right fit. They're the first Bluetooth 5.0 headset from Jaybird, which means that they have a much better range and latency performance, especially with Bluetooth 5.0 sources. They also have multi-device pairing and an auto-off timer that you can control within the app that makes their shorter than average 6-hour battery life last much longer. They're also rated IPX7 water resistant, which should be better for running and working out, and they have a customizable sound with a great EQ. However, their cradle is a lot different than the other models. The cradle is easier to use, but like the X4, the USB connector is not detachable, so you can't just leave it attached to the headphones. On the upside, the remote is wider, easy to use, but the feedback on the buttons feels somewhat mushy and not as clicky as on the X3. Overall, they're a mashup of some of the better features of the X series, but do not quite outperform the X4. They are cheaper though, which might be worth it for some. One last note, we didn't include the Tarah Pro in this lineup since we haven't tested or reviewed it yet, but performance-wise, they should last a bit longer than the X4 for battery life, and they look like they have a more premium build quality. They're also Bluetooth 5.0 headphones like the regular Tarah, which should have a few more benefits in range and wireless performance. However, they also have a new curved inline remote, which probably means a new charging cradle that you have to deal with. So to summarize, if you want the best Jaybird option we've tested so far, then go for the X4. They have the more complete list of features and an IPX7 rating. If you don't want to spend as much and use your headphones for more than just sports, then get the X3 or the Tarah, since they perform closely to the X4 but at a cheaper price point. And of course, if you want something truly wireless, then get the Jaybird Run. They're a bit more expensive, but they're also a bit more convenient when exercising since there's no cables to get in your way. And if you mostly use your headphones for working out and want something even more budget than the X3 or the Tarah, then go for the Freedoms. In this case, the Freedom 2 are a bit more comfortable, but choose whichever is cheaper since performance is almost identical. Lastly, if the bulky charging clip and proprietary charging cables are a deal breaker for you, then get the X2. However, you won't be able to customize their sound, and since they're a bit old, they're not as widely available, making them slightly expensive overall, which won't be the best value for everyone. And that's pretty much it. You can check out all our measurements on our website. If you like this video, subscribe or become a contributor. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.